Hello, good morning. You are watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Balde. Thank you very much for joining us wherever you are. And it's the 20th of May 2025. And we are broadcasting from our studios on Kairaba Avenue, The Gambia, West Africa. So how are you doing? And, to our viewers that follow us on our social media handles, and also send contributions like of Brother Ibrahim in the United States of America, and of course Banki in Spain, and other followers as well. I am with Julde Njai. Good morning, Julde.
Good morning to you, Ibrahim. Good morning to our viewers from wherever you're watching us from. I'm glad to be back.
It's good to be back here on this platform. And Mr. Momodou Mboj is our newspaper review guest. Mr. Mboj, good morning.
Absolutely. Well, I've been coming every day for how long now? I'm becoming part of the furniture, as it were. Yes, good morning, Ibrahim.
Yeah. Probably we should be having. All right, so it's good to be back here again to share this platform with you, Mr. Mboj.
Right.
On the platform today, we'll take a look at the African Code. From there, the newspaper review. Then first, National Tesito Forum. And Almami Funding Tal is part of the team. He will be here and will tell us what this Tesito Forum is. What are they planning to achieve? What message are they trying to convey? And of course, World Hypertension Day. Hypertension dafa bëri. Léegi nga gis nit jóg rek bloc. Gis rek feebar yu sew yi rek nga digga ñu ne kii xolam bi lifin heart bi ak yooyu noonu. So it's important Jibril Gando Balde would be here. But he would be coming along with the people responsible for all these diseases. I mean, so he would, they will take us through, this year's theme, and of course, how to prevent, what are some of the signs as well. So on that note, the leopard you are hunting may circle round and suddenly run after you. The leopard you are hunting may circle round and suddenly run after you.
It's like the hunter becoming the hunted.
Yes. When the hunter is being hunted.
What a turnaround.
What they get?
Yeah, I suppose some situations are like that.
Right.
I mean, if we transfer the metaphor, you sort of tackle something, and then in the end it sort of overpowers you, doesn't it? Yeah. But how do you say it? It's just as simple as that. Some situations can overpower you, and whereas before you had become predator, now you are prey. You are on the back foot. You're retreating because what you had encountered, I do not know, was just too powerful for you. So maybe the lesson is sort of be careful. Be careful what you take on.
Right.
Choose your fight, I don't know, wisely.
Wisely.
Be careful what you take on, I think.
We have seen situations victimizing people. And sometimes we tend to say, okay, it's not fair. Is it that the people didn't do that calculation or they didn't do their maths very well? There are people that okay, you see them, you find them in certain situations, and very unfortunate situations. And you'll be like, oh no, they didn't deserve to have this, they didn't deserve this situation. Sometimes it's unfair.
What does unfairness mean or fairness means? Let's put it this way, yeah? When you're faced with any situation whatsoever, you are never going to have all the facts about that situation. Never, never, never. So any action, you take some risks.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the idea that you can sit down and think about all possible contingencies and plan for it perfectly, that's a myth. It doesn't exist.
Right.
You will never have all the facts. So if you facts you have, well, you use them to the best that you can, to move forward. But you are taking a risk. anything you're doing, there is some risk involved. And this is it. Some brave people, the risk takers, well, you take a big risk, you win big. If you're not a risk taker, I don't know. But this is what we've said.
Yeah.
You know, nothing is guaranteed.
It is.
Nothing is guaranteed.
It is.
You
Nothing
just
is
go
guaranteed,
for it.
right.
So in the end, it's faith. Really, in the end, it's really faith that moves us forward. In the end, nothing is guaranteed at all.
That's right. I mean, I think I have a similar interpretation as yours. Like, no matter how powerful you are at that moment, it's very important for you to be careful, especially, you know, when you're dealing with your subordinates or your juniors. It's very important because the moment they retaliate, it's going to be, you know, unexpected, and it's going to be brutal. So just because you are in the helm of affairs doesn't mean that you are in control of anything and you're in charge of people's destinies. So I think in most cases you see these things where like you victimize someone to an extent that they can't really take it. They really reach the edge and they retaliate. And you'll be like, okay, I was not really expecting this. It's because you really push them hard. And when someone is being pushed to the wall, I mean, the person tends to really come up with something, a very powerful force within you that you tend to retaliate. So I think it's very, very important when you're in a classical example of that. I don't know whether this example really fits here, but it's the issue of the protesters, like the gala protesters. You know, it started off with, okay, we denied you permit without giving you any reasons, and then they underestimated the power of those youngsters. But look at what happened. It prompted a nationwide protest, and, you know, at the end of the day, look at the outcome of it. So that is why it's very important, you know, whether you're in government, whether you are in leadership, whether you are head of an organization, or you are leading even ahead in your family. It's very important not to use advantage or your power against the people that are under you. Because whenever they retaliate, it's going to be ugly.
It's going to be a turnaround.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's going to be a serious turnaround.
Yeah, so it's telling you for you to treat every situation, you know, to find a holistic way to approach every situation.
Right.
It's important to treat every situation as important as, I mean, any other thing.
Right.
Because at the end of the time, you know, it might turn against you, and you have to be very careful. Sometimes you don't have to be careless when it comes to your life as an individual. You know, there are certain things, if you know, okay, fine, I am not an electrician, but okay, I'm trying to fix a faulty cable or something, and you know you are not an electrician. If you are electrocuted to death, I mean, you've wasted your life. So it's important for you to, you know, do the right things, and at the same time for you to be careful. You know, be very cautious.
Important.
Because you live once.
Important.
Yes. Well, unless you're a cat, of course. They have 9 lives.
I don't think so. During my childhood, we killed a cat, but still, we didn't see it again.
Coming back.
You know, all right, so Mr. Momodumboch.
So do we go to the... Are we reviewing?
Yeah, I
The
think we need to
stories?
move on to the newspaper.
Review.
Yes.
There's a lot to review, isn't there?
Right. We have quite some interesting headlines. We have Foroya, Standard, and Point. So let's start with Foroya. Standard rather. Standard, it's saying, their main headline is saying, Ami Bensouda threatens $144 million soda against Kurang, Mamadi Kurang.
Absolutely. We're living in interesting times.
Right.
Yes. So she felt what, defamed?
Yes.
By what Mamadi's been saying. Well, what has Mamadi been saying now?
Well,
Probably
according to their later,
It is the Ghana Commission.
Ghana Commission thing, misconduct
disposed of
and everything,
and that sort of thing.
and the role, you know, Ami plead. As far as this is concerned, you know.
Well, for us, of course, we're just hoping that the inquiry in the National Assembly and the National Audit Office, I do not know, will give us more of the facts. Because now what do we have? Claim, counterclaim, that sort of thing.
Right.
So we really need an independent, really, platform to look into this matter forensically, really, bring out the facts. It would be interesting to know what exactly happened. You know what I mean? Really.
Gambians deserve to know the truth.
Oh, big time, because the stark picture painted in the report, remember the spark of all of this, really, Dabo Mustafa Dabo's report, the stark picture painted in there. Let's see what the investigations would reveal.
And even with the report that has been released by the government on the sales of Jammeh's assets, even with that, you know, there are a lot of serious issues there that one would wonder, like, does this really happen? How did it happen? Like selling a Range Rover for 50K, you know, it's, I mean, but let us just be hopeful that things are going to come out. I mean, it's 4 months. And after the 4 months, hopefully we will have something concrete as far as this whole saga is concerned.
And you want it to be a turning point. Yes, we focused on this one because it's the one that's just happened. But generally, our attitude towards public office is really for sort of self-enrichment. You see, that's really where, that's sort of like the final frontier. This is really where, as a society, we need to confront. You know what I mean? It is sort of making institutional life dysfunctional. It's not working. So there's a way where at the societal level we have to confront ourselves, but we tend to think that, oh, it's these public officials, oh, it's the government, oh, it's that, until you put me in that position and I become that.
Worse than that.
It's amazing, isn't it? So there's a way that we need to confront ourselves. I don't think we do in many ways. Because even when you don't do certain things, I once heard somebody say, kokumambugu dara, stuff like that. So we have this mindset with public office. It's a general thing. We need to confront it as a society, because this is what we do. Change as many politicians as you like. Why do you have similar outcomes?
Because I think
it seems structural. This is my point.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because the issue, it's not, because, for instance, now, since when Yahya Jammeh came in, he set up a commission, you know, looking at the financial dealings of former President Sadauda Jawara and the ministers and all that. And there were a lot of allegations of corruption. For instance, after 22 years of Jammeh's rule, we've seen like several commissions. We've seen the Janneh Commission, we've seen the TRRC, and all of these commissions, millions have been spent. You know, but again, if you look at the outcome of these commissions, still there is nothing to be proud of, honestly, really. Exactly. Just after knowing the truth, what is next?
What next?
What are we going to do? And even there are even critics of the Barrow government saying that after Barrow's government, they're going to set up another commission to look at what this government has been doing. So when are we really moving away from all these commissions? I remember
there was what we call the Al-Ghali Commission too during Jammeh's time, you know, looking after, you know, Jawara's, I mean, mismanagement according to what they said. I mean, but don't you think this is a form of a way to muffle this Kurang guy as well by Ami Bensouda?
Yes, because if she feels aggrieved that this is not true, then you wouldn't want him to say it. So if you mean muffle, yes, if I feel that something is not true, then you shouldn't say it. I'm not going to pass any judgment on this. Kurang has said what he has said. And this is how Ami Bensouda has decided to react. You know, threatening to go. She hasn't gone to court yet, but according to the paper, she's threatening. I don't know what that means.
I think
to go to
Kurang
court.
has been given 7 days to desist and
is it to recant? Is it
yes,
to, all right.
7 days to desist and seize whatever you know, utterances he's making against Ami Bensouda and all of that. But really, I
so
think
far 2 people, and I remember some time back, Hamad Ba also said a similar thing,
yes.
but this time against Mustafa
Yes,
Keitabo.
Keitabo.
So we're having these threats of going to court.
Yeah.
We'll see
But
how
for Ahmad Ba suing Mustafa Keitabo, or the media house that Mustafa is working.
The Republic.
Yes. Does it even make sense now? Because at the end of the time, everything have manifested. I mean, we've seen the committees are set up to look into Jammeh's asset sale. I mean, I don't think it will make any sense. Sometimes these are things that people tend to say, but when you look deep in, it doesn't make sense.
Well, these are 2 different processes, aren't they? Right. The parliamentary process, let it go on. If he wants to pursue the legal one, which is different, he can do whatever. 2 different processes, really. So if he wants to go to court, you may. It's just as simple as that.
All right.
Why? Do you know what I always say, though? I remember, well, to some of us, there was a journalist, investigative journalist, actually, Tix Mane. Tix Mane once wrote against 2 ministers, Seyo Sabali and Dr. Saho, and they went to court. They took Tix Mane to court, and they lost. So it's quite interesting. We'll see what happens this time. So for me, seeing Mustafa Keitabo and everybody getting all worked up, my mind went back and said, oh, that was Tix Mane, remember that one? So it seems we have another one here.
Yeah, I mean, any citizen have the right to go to the courts if you feel that your rights are being violated, or if you are accused of something that you feel like it's not true. All you have to do, the courts are independent. They're there for all of us. Go, you know, file your case. If it is something that is really, you know, that you can defend, you have the evidence, yeah, prove it. I mean, the courts are independent. We've seen there, even the state, you know, against individuals, and individuals winning against the state. We've seen cases like that here. Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if someone filed a lawsuit against you, the person is going to win. It doesn't work like that. So, but I think the most important thing, like Mr. Moj said, the mindset of the ordinary Gambian. Who are we really? I think this chain or this cycle ought to be
someone must
broken.
break it, yeah?
Exactly. Someone should really break this cycle, because it has been going on and on and on and on forever. And at some point, I'm really scared. Who are we? Do we even know what it means to be a nationalist? Do we even have that sense of patriotism in us?
Don't get me started on that nationalism. On that nationalism.
I want to get you started.
No. I mean, sort of the theme really of post-independence was that how did the nationalisms really that generated all of that, we want independence now, right. Yet in power, that nationalism became a kleptocracy. It was just stealing from the people. So a good number of writers try to explain this situation, how on earth did it happen? But this is it across the continent, really. So if the youth now, if you really have any political purpose, is really, how do you break this? How do you move away from the kleptocracy, really? Without your institutions, and this is where it really shows, without your institutions, you're never going to prosper, it seems.
Right.
The Nobel Prize winners, economics, this is really what we've seen. Right. They studied prosperous nations and those who are not doing so well, right. Back to institutions. Right. They must be here for the people. Otherwise, put in all the money you want in resources or come up with all kinds of policies. If the institutions are not right organizationally, you are not going to see anything.
Absolutely.
That's the base.
That is
That's
important.
The base.
Institutional reform, then.
That's the base. But how do you do it?
How do we go about
Perhaps the people you're giving the task to reform it don't really want it reformed. We are quite satisfied with the status quo.
Yeah, it seems.
Yeah.
All indicators.
Now, that's it. So now our governance is really the management of the status quo. There's really no radical agenda. No. It's just the management of the status quo. Whereas perhaps what our countries need was really some radical agenda. You know what I mean?
And sometimes you need this radical agenda I mean,
to turn things around.
Yeah.
Look at just the young chaps, I call them really, in Senegal, because they are 40-somethings.
Yeah.
In Senegal, there's something that they're trying to do. You know, that parallel state. You have individuals who would take these state institutions and treat them as if they were his own fiefdom, as it were. Right. I mean, wielding so much power, using it as your own private thing. That's really very difficult because societally we all believe in that, because put anybody in that situation, we do the same things.
Yeah.
It's quite staggering here. So how do you break that? That must be the political purpose of youth. There's a lot of talk about youth, but I'm not sure whether they're thinking about what's going on.
What's going on?
How do you break that corrupt behavior in public office?
It's important.
Yes,
I mean, we
that's
can't
really the key, I think. Then everything else will build up.
We can't move on like this. We can't keep going like this forever. And I think at some point we need a change of mindset, a change of attitude. You know, just not like the everyday thing. We have to move away from it. Like for me, what I've seen is that it's allegation, counter allegations. We've seen individuals come in, accusing this of that, the other person will come, and then that's it. Jammeh came and said Jawara was corrupt. And then Barrow came and said Jammeh was corrupt. Perhaps if Barrow left, another person will come and say
there is corruption.
There is corruption.
Exactly.
Like, it's like it's the people.
Yeah, and you know
we are the people. Like we have to change the mindset. Yeah. We have to start from somewhere. Like you said, being radical movement doesn't mean that we are going to portray it in a negative light, but in the positive light. But I'm going to so radical. Maybe Mr. Boch is trying to instigate people negatively and all that. Okay, but radical movement.
Let's go to the etymology.
Right.
For word bijogi. Yeah. It's from the word radix, roots.
Yes.
It's about going to the roots of things. For truly solve social issues. That is really what is meant by the radical. Going to the roots of the problem rather than just dealing with the symptoms. You know what I mean? Right. So I think we've been dealing with the symptoms. That is why you've mentioned 3 different regimes, different personnel, different people. Same results.
Yeah. Different political parties.
Different political parties, different whatever. Yeah. Similar results. Let's put it that way. Not the same, but similar. Results. Some sort of did better than others. Let's put it that way. But in the end, did it really move the needle? I do not know. I don't know. It's a very difficult one. Yeah, but this is it. Structurally, there's something that we must tackle. But here, that is more of a normative problem. Societally, there's a way that we need to have another conversation, really. Yeah. I think it's partly ethical. People tend to think that this is an economic crime problem. I said, yes, but there's an ethical dimension.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lack of ethics in some of the way that we do things in the public domain. And that must be said.
I think this is the moment where investigative journalism comes into play. And this is the moment where we need active, rational, and radical civil society organization to actually keep the advocacy going. You know, for people to be aware that this is wrong, and investigative journalists should be able to also expose the wrongdoings. But not just that. It's important for people to know the truth. But it's another for the authorities to take up that.
Absolutely.
We've seen audit reports about alleged corruption, you know, several of them.
That's it.
But nothing has been done so far, as far as I know.
And I would also change emphasis.
Yeah.
I once said to somebody very much involved in these CSOs and that sort of thing, I said, you people, you talk about people's rights,
yeah,
all over the place, granted, but what about the other half? You cannot have rights without obligations. Can we refocus and talk more about our obligations? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes. The two, they go together, you know. If it is your right for you to get ABC, it is somebody else's obligation to give it to you.
Right.
This is how the structure of rights, that's how it works, really. So there must be a change of emphasis. What are our obligations? If I say that I'm in the Gambia, we're independent now, we want to do things, what would be my obligations?
It's important.
You know what I mean?
It is.
But we rarely touch that, really. It's always, this is my right to get this, it's my right to get that, it's my right to do that. And not too much on obligations. Then you are never going to get your rights.
Absolutely.
You see, we are forgetting this paradox we find ourselves. Then you are not going to get your rights unless we emphasize on obligations.
It's important. I mean, you're absolutely right about that. And I think for me, it's collaboration, media, civil society organization, ordinary Gambians. People ought to really collaborate. And even the creative sector, the musicians should be able to, those doing drama, film industry should be able to come up with movies, you know, around these topics, thematic areas, to be able to create that advocacy and awareness. And the impact this is really having. People are underestimating corruption, but it's crazy. For me, I think it's one of the grave human rights violations. Corruption, really, economic crimes. It's serious because it affects generations unborn. It affects all of us. So whether you are, you know, someone who is rich, you are those privileged, you are part of the A-class people or the B-class or even the C-class people, it affects all of us. I think it's important for people to really look at this and then come up with a solution. But man, what I don't like sometimes, what I tend to hate about this country is that we tend to politicize everything. So you know, maybe it's Julde, you know, does Julde belong to a particular political party? Has she been bribed? That is why she is talking like. But it's not that. Julde, it's a Gambian before, you know, aligning myself in any political party or ideology. So I think that is important for people really to look at. When people are being, you know, critical of national issues, let us look at it as such, not, you know, don't align me with a personally. You know, there is a difference between nationalism and being personal interest.
I think as people, we are not ready. You know, we are not ready yet.
So too.
Because there are certain things that will happen, and you will hear people will say, I mean, just give it some time. It's Gambia. Everything is going to die down for some time. You know, we don't take things very serious. We don't take our affairs very serious. I mean, which will affect, you know, the movement of things in the future.
Right, absolutely. Let's. There is a story on the Standard. It talks about ex-Auditor General says Assembly lacks expertise to prompt Jammeh's assets. This ex-Auditor General is saying that the National Assembly does not have the expertise to actually look into Jammeh's assets and everything. I want to believe that the National Assembly has over the years have undergone a lot of trainings, capacity building, you know, about parliamentary issues, how to deal about that, and even to some extent investigation. You know, we've seen trainings like that. So I don't know what he really meant by they don't have the expertise, because this is not the National Assembly single-handedly doing this, but it's a collaboration, you know, and it's a state matter. It's not just the National Assembly.
Yeah, and the thing is, you don't necessarily expect your National Assembly to have any expertise.
Right.
In the course of the investigations, in any area where they need expert opinion, they can call that person as a witness. So anywhere in the world, National Assembly members, well, they come from every layer of society. They can come from anywhere. That's really not their job. Their job is a different kind of judgment. After I've listened to all these witnesses, if you like, expert opinion, looked at the facts, so what judgments do I come with, as it were? So we want our National Assembly members to be intelligent, critical in how they engage with information, and that sort of thing, you know, the broader talents, as it were, not the minute sort of technical expertise. You will have your witnesses there. Anybody you want to call, they will come and explain things to you. So we hope that you have common sense, you understand the concepts, then you take a sound judgment based on what you've heard. That's all you expect from your National Assembly members. So it's a bit unfair to say that they don't have the technical expertise. Of course not. We all know that.
I think when you can think critically and you can question certain things, you should be able to do this.
That's the whole point.
I mean, and at the same time, you don't need to get some financial background or auditing background to be able to be part of this committee. I think all that you need to do is to look at things and approach things with caution, to ask questions and to know what have been done.
Your reasoning.
It's important.
Your experience, they all come into it because your experience refines your judgment. Most situations you find yourself in, you really have to show judgment. There is no science that can lead you to the right answer. There is no art that can lead you to the right answer. You know what I mean? You just apply your logic and your experience and you take a decision and you move on. Just as we said earlier, every decision involves a risk. Every decision. You cannot guarantee anything in life. Nothing can. Logic cannot guarantee you certainty.
Does it?
It has never done. It will never do. Nothing can ever guarantee you certainty.
Absolutely.
That's how it is.
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Momodu Mboj, for reviewing this paper with us. And
this was more like a philosophy seminar than
something. But it's good that we reflect on some of these things because I think it's important. I mean, we've been talking about these things like for every day. We talk about these things, but we don't seems to see any changes. You know, something. Yes.
We've been talking about this, but maybe looking in the wrong places. It's high time, perhaps, we turn the gaze back to us. That's really where the issue is. Not anybody outside. It's yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, so thank you, viewers. We'll take a short break. And after the break, we will talk about World Hypertension Day.
All right.
Yes, we'll be right back.
QMoney is back again with its easy-to-use, secure and convenient mobile app that allows you to carry out all your transactions. No matter where you are or what time it is, you can always access your funds. With the new QMoney app, you can cash in and out, buy credit, buy QPower, shop, make payments, and so much more. You can also send QMoney, pay bills, receive international remittances, and transfer cash to others. Just download the app from your Play Store or App Store and get started. For more information, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sinu Kalpe. We innovate, others follow.
Gas, the energy that brings us together.
Powered by Africa, Oryx Energies.
Running low on data? Need to stay connected without spending too much? Get 1 GB for just $50. Yes, only $50. Whether you're streaming videos, scrolling through social media, messaging friends, or catching up on the latest news, this offer has got you covered. At home, on the move, or just in need of a quick top-up, it's the perfect data deal for you. And the best part, it's valid for 2 full days. Don't miss out. Dial *303# and choose option 7 to grab your 1 GB data for just $50. It's affordable, reliable, just what you need. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunubus. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply. QMoney and Orange Money has just made money transfer easier. Now you can send money from Gambia to Senegal directly from your QMoney wallet. So what are you waiting for? Get your QMoney account now and start sending money to your friends and families through Orange Money in Senegal now. For more information, call our customer care on 133. QMoney, Sunu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply.
We are back. You're watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. Thank you very much for joining us. And let's move on to World Hypertension Day. I mean, very important for us to discuss this because, you know, discussing this will save a lot of lives.
Yeah.
And we have Senabu Baracham from the Non-Communicable Disease Unit. And Senabu, it's good to have you here.
Thank you.
First of all, come no more program. That's good.
Yeah.
So, leading are important. You have to go in the local language.
Yeah, sure.
For our local viewers, because you bari mun nañu lifin duñ xam about this. Bu nekké top nañ angale bi rek at the end of time ñu bari duñ xam. So dañ bëggoon ñu waxtaan about hypertension. Lan mooy hypertension?
Okay, Ibrahima jërëjëf maa ngi nuyu suñu mbokki déglukat yi. So déggee hypertension day moom is celebrated every May 17 of every year pour rek nit yi mun a dem si lopitaan bi di seet seen deret. Suñu waxee deret bi nekkul ne amount of deret ñu bari dañ dee confuse HB bi moo nekk amount of deret bu nekk si sa yaram bi. Hypertension moo nekk force bu deret bi dee pompe si sa artères moo nekk yoon bi deret bi dee jaar si sa yaram bi. So da ngay gis ne yoon bu deret bi dee jaar deret bi xol bi mu ngi pompe bu baax loolu noonu su éegi loolu lañ dee wax hypertension. Te hypertension dafa am nuñ ko dee measure usually soo demee si lopitaan liñ dee luma si sa arm bi. Su ko defee ñu teg ko machine boobu noonu loolu moo tudda blood pressure machine bi loolu lañ dee checkee sa hypertension bi. So da ngay gis ne su nekkee ne check nañ ko waaye dafa war a nekk consecutive 3 times ñu check ko on different days mu high mu ngi nekk su nekkee ne ëpp na 140/90 so dinañ la diagnose hypertension. So suñu waxee hypertension ñaari façon la am na lu ñu wax essential hypertension boobu usually we don't know the cause. Am na secondary hypertension is because you have hypertension because of a pre-existing disease. Yaa ngi amee hypertension because yaa ngi am feebar yu mel ni diabetes yaa ngi amee kidney problem lii mun na laa jox hypertension. Te soo nekkee hypertension lu xew mu nekk feebar bu dangerous moo nekk liñ dee wax silent killer daf dee noppi si biir yaram bi fekk mu ngay def liggéeyam. Usually du la jox benn mandarga pour mun laa won ne yow sa BP baa ngi high. Xam nga nit yi moom dañ different am na nit yoo xam ne dinañ am bopp bu metti dinañ am nose bleeds dinañ am dizziness. Waaye ñaareel ba hypertension is a silent killer. Doo am ay mandarga yum laa won. waaye da nga gis ne lan moo dee mun a tax nit ki am hypertension usually ñu ne causes yi are unknown waaye there are risk factors loo xam ne soo ko dee def o mu ngi nekk si yow mun naa tax ba sooy am feebar bi mu gën a yomba so suñ amee risk factors am na risk factors yoo xam ne nit ki munut si dara munu see def dara lu mel ni sa at xam nga the more you're getting old deret bi mu ngi war a gën a mun a daw ak yooyu noonu loolu mënuloo koo change nit ki yaa ngi noo xam nga Ibrahima mu ngi yong waaye ba léegi mu ngi so age bi mënuloo koo change. Other thing is family history because su nekkee ne yaa ngi juddu si family boo xam ne hypertension mu fa sa one of your parent or sibling pour yow nga am feebar bi daf dee gën a yomba. Another thing is hereditary, for example race. Because studies have shown that the African race were more prone to hypertension than the whites or Caucasian. So lolu tam mënuloo change nit ki nga doon. Maybe most of the problem is because of our sedentary lifestyle, because sedentary lifestyle can be one of the risk factors for hypertension. But those are modifiable. For example, what you do or what you eat is modifiable. So the modifiable risk factors include healthy diet. With hypertension, there should be low salt diet. The so say Gambian, our food is very, very sodium content. The so you horom rek. Wow.
100 different type of jimbos.
Why different safsafali musima said. The kind of food that we eat, fast food is high sugar content. How is it called? Leki poti tamit daf dee bari xorom loolu noonu yëpp mun naa tax pour nga am hypertension daf dee bari because xorom sodium la te sodium wane na sodium daf dee retain ndox si yaram bi there is this saying wherever salt goes water follows so da nga gis ne su nekkee yaa ngi lekk xorom bu bari ndox bi daf dee mun a des sa yaram bi te su doxee ndox bi des na sa yaram bi lu bari mun naa tax pressure bi high. So another thing is healthy diet. comme lu ma ko wax lekka boo dee lekka it's very very important tam ñu inculcate di boole si suñ lekka yi fruits ak vegetables lekka bu baax miinut ne dafa war a cher comme for exemple léegi mango mu ngi am nga lekka si mango bi sorans mu ngi am nga lekka si sorans si banana lu baax la because banana dafa high si potassium te potassium da nga gis ne daf dee dimbale pour wàññi sodium bi si yaram bi muy xorom bi so it's very very good another risk factor bu ñu war a def moo nekk exercise is very very important because su nekkee you're overweight or obese pour mu nga am feebar bi tam daf dee yomba si yow so suñu waxee exercise rek miinuñ ne dañ war a dem gym déedéet ni nga sa at nim toolu rek yow sa exercise mun nga ko tool sakatuma la ñi si biir kër yi usually ñun suñ aada fii soo demee ba mag rek doo bugg a sa yaay def yee nay da nga ne yaa toogal déedéet bul def ni xangal loolu noonu déggal la duñ def liggéey boo xam ne dafa métti si ñoom waaye tamit war nañ di doxantu bi baax a baax because lekka rek toog loolu tam baaxul si ñoom suñ julee fajar ba pare mun nañoo génn am benn 30 minutes walk o ñu julli gee time bu naaj bi wàcca na ñu dox loolu tamit is very very important another risk factor moo nekk tobacco use tamit tobacco whether smoking chewing or vaping loolu tamit increases your chances of hypertension because we talked about arthritis su nekkee dafa naaro su nekkee yaa ngi tux benn any form of tobacco te gis nañ léegi ne vaping bi bari na lu bari so da nga gis ne su nekkee ne yaa ngi tux arthritis yi nii moo nekk yoon bu deret bi war a aw so su nekkee yaa ngi tux daf dee increase the narrowing of these arteries su nekkee na yoon bi léegi dafa xat xam nga léegi su xol bi waree pompe dafa use more force pour mu pompe so loolu can cause hypertension so these are some of the risk factors yoo xam ne su nekkee ne yaa ngi ko dee def mun naa tax nga am feebar bi lu gaaw.
So in terms of the number of cases of hypertension, how is it?
Yeah, very, very good because legi mom, the cases are alarming. Hanga before, this kind of diseases were known as the disease of the wealthy. Punga diga hypertension, why things have really changed. Of recent, Dr. Job et al. You conduct better research. Like the prevalence of hypertension in the Gambia is about 47%. Hamga lol known is very, very high because right now, so this is even without research, care board them. Hamga ko am fair barbe. You so ko amud hamga ko am fair barbe. So it's really bepere lugena graw moneka ñi nga xamne undiagnosed sa ñob gina bari. Ñi nga xamne ñu ngi amé fair barbe te xamuñ sa ne ñu ngi amé fair barbe. Because xam nga suñ health seeking behavior pour nga nit toog rek dara jotu la nga dem lopitaan yombut Ibrahima kañ nga mujjee check sa blood pressure.
I think that was like a few years back.
Te xam nga you're an adult liggéey bi maybe du la may much exercise so it's very very important to know your numbers. At least nga xam ne ok man suma blood pressure bi nii la dee mel soo demee ba lopitaan ñu check la ko dinañ la wax ne sa blood pressure bi xam nga ñaata la de dangaa wax ne xaw ma te fu mu nekk nii lopitaan boo dem nga ne checkal ma sa blood pressure bi dinañ la ko checkal because wow the theme for this year is like monitor your blood pressure accurately, control it and live longer.
And how long should you monitor your blood pressure?
Yeah, because research is saying so you're about 18, once a year. Why hang at the moment you're growing old and 40, at least once a year, man, I think it's too long because considering a lot of risk factors.
At least every 6 months.
Every 6 months. Why hang at least every year, I'm a complete health check. To check everything, to make sure that you're fine. Morgan, because as we said, these are silent killers. Them because one of the complications of hypertension is it can cause cardiac issues.
So what's it? They risk sen health rek. Why I guess even come yangi moto. So ko check good for 1 year.
Of course.
1
year somebody na di how like duñ dé talk 3 months the service lo moto bi di nga wax ne hey man wara change diw bi am na ñoo xamne every suba dinañ ubbi pour sen na ndox bi mu ngi dox
so ya ngi def lolu ci moto why not yow sa
moto talk less of your body.
Yeah, I think that sometimes be pare nit yaram bi dafa melni any other machine. Camera boy use ni pour camera ñu ba cameraman bi balaa mu ñëw dina make sure ne ndax battery bi fix na bu baax ndax
lens bi mu ngi fa
ndax lens bi mu ngi fa ndax focus bi mu ngi okay and all of that human body bi tam noonu la mel we have different parts am nañ batteries am nañ wire am nañ loolu moo dee come together to make us complete so that has te yaram bi tam sometimes sax day jox warning signs de su nekkee mar nga dina la woon ne comme mar nga su nekkee xiif nga dina la jox signs boppa bi dina métti or something because mu laa wone am na lu yaram bi soxla waaw waaye nekkuloo di ko jox so I comme Ibrahima nu mu ko waxee it's very very important pour at least I know suñ schedules are busy why health is not everything but without health everything else is nothing
right that's
true léegi xale yi dañ dee mun a am this hypertension dama bëgg a xam tam hypertension bi mooy pressure bi
waaw mooy pressure bi high blood pressure waaw waaw it's called like hypertension waaw
okay so xale yi are they open to this
yeah xale usually if someone less than 18 have this usually they have underlying health condition either they have kidney issues or cardiac issues more waral BP be high so bu ma doon door wax naa ne there is something called primary hypertension or secondary hypertension usually with kids you expect them to have secondary hypertension that is if they have dañ am problem si seen kidneys or seen xol bi dafa dañ am problem si xol bi den dinañ mën a am high blood pressure waaw
so high blood pressure nit su ko amee mun na moo wér mun nga faj
it's treatable but it's not curable the moment you have high blood pressure you have to take drugs to control the blood pressure plus lifestyle changes it's very very important waaw because sooy naan garab bi ba léegi yaa ngi lekk xorom bu baax a baax yaa ngi exercise loo su nekkee ne da ngaa tuf yaa ngi tuf su nekkee ne you're drinking alcohol lii yëpp dafa increase the risk so hypertension treatment comes with lifetime changes it's very very important te léegi ne like changes yi dañ ko dee individualize kind of ñun ñaar mun nañoo am hypertension but our treatment differs because maybe our risk factors differ so you have to concentrate on that so it's very very important adherence to drug because nekkul lu yomba tamit xam nga every day ngay naan garab nekkul lu yomba dafa war a nekk loo xam ne nekkul nit ki rek waaye family tamit dafa support su nekkee am nga yaay o kenn si kër bi ko am hypertension nga make sure ne mu ngee naan garab bi ba pare garab bi ndax mun koo naan correctly tamit because am na garab yoo xam ne depending on dafa am different categories of hypertensive drugs yu ñu am waaw am nañ yoo xam ne diuretics la am nañ AC inhibitors and the like so da nga war a seet kii lu mu dee naan naka lañ ko waxee benn yoon si bés bi waaye benn yoon si bés bi should be 12 early understand nga su nekkee ne every suba la ko dee jël 8 nga make sure ne every suba waaye tey mu jël ko 8 ëllëg mu jël ko 9 gannaaw suba mu jël ko si guddi xam nga loolu noonu tam daf dee affect efficacy of the drug num dee woogee because garab bi dafa am something lu ñu dee wax half life for example soo joxee yaram bi garab bi mu ngee work on lowering blood pressure comme for example garab bi every 12 hours la so da nga gis ne su 24 hours yi di jeex si rek dose bi wàcca na yëpp so da nga war a yokka dara pour mu yokka ko pour mu mun a wàññi waaye su nekkee ne yaram bi si boppam nekk loo di ko jox lu soxla loolu tamit daf dee nekk problème so we have to drug adherence is very very important ba pare su nekkee jeex na ñuy make sure ne because yenn saa yi mais de mu dama soona si naan garab yi nii da nga gis ne jeex na ay ñetti weer duñ dem sa change ko dañoo wax ne man dama si soona waaye I know it's not easy waaye foog nga naan ko because foog ñu explainal ne lii mooy war a tax garab bi wàccee ko because su nekkee ne pressure bi is consistently high mun naa cause a lot of complication mun naa cause stroke te gis nañ a lot of people with stroke the moment nga am stroke sa soxla yaaxu na because sa cër yi yéena yi du dee dox loxo bi ak tànka bi dañoo ànda mbaa gémmiñ bi du ànda xam nga loolu noonu like it becomes these non-communicable diseases there are a lot of economic burden because for example the moment sa nit am stroke yow léegi kooku noonu da nga ko war a di ko take care da nga ko war a di ko yóbbu lopitaan mais bi soo leen daan dem lopitaan da ngeen daan dox mbaa ngeen jël commercial vehicle waaye léegi fu ngeen war a jël town trip loolu noonu fay la foog mu war a di massage loolu noonu fay la so loolu noonu yëpp mun nañ ko fagaru nga xam ne ngay naan sa garab all the time ngay dem si sa appointment bi all the time it's very very important ñeneen ñi tamit dañoo am hypertension for years ñu jox leen benn certain drug su jeexee rek dañoo dem si pharmacie bi rek jëndaat ko duñ musa dem check up because tamit as you're going ngay naan sa garab bi da nga war a dee dem l'hôpital ñu seet sa dose yi ñu mun koo adjust mun nañ la wax ne ok kii dafa doon jël 10 milligram waaye mu ngee naan garab bi gis nañ ne 10 milligram bi de mu ngee maintain garab bi dañoo stay foofu noonu oo xaaral ñu wàññi ko to 5 oo kii de mu ngeen naan garabam bi nuñ ko waxee waaye ba léegi blood pressure bi wàccut nuñ ko buggee so xaaral ñu yokkal ko waaye xam nga su nekkee ne yaa ngi toog si kër bi rek nekkuloo di lem lopitaan duñ la mun a xamal ba pare tamit soo amee hypertension foog ngay war a munti dem maybe every year ñu defal la general check up pour seet ok ndax sa xol bi mu ngi function very very fine ndax the kidneys are fine ñu send la si Isle Hospital bi because hypertension daf day affect yi
all of that and even the brain I think
the brain because dementia a long time can cause dementia because da nga gis ne some people with hypertension they forgetful a lot so all of those things needs to be checked waaye su nekkee demuloo lopitaan yaa ngi toog si kër bi rek it becomes difficult to know this
léegi nga dégg stress daf dee yokk hypertension.
yes stress daf dee yokk hypertension because lu ñu wax moo nekk nu dee force bi dee dóoree yow right now soo meree nga def nii sax soo toogee da nga dee gis noo dee comme noo kee waaw so it's su nekkee ne yaa ngi stress da ngay gis ne the pumping of the blood increases, so it can cause hypertension. So body and mind is very, very important to find things that relaxation techniques, whether it's yoga or talk, like the meditate, these things are very, very also very, very good. Wow.
So léegi yan façon lekka la nit war a lekka especially ko xam ne dafa am high blood pressure. Yan façon lekka nga war a lekka.
Yeah, with high blood pressure, Mom, we encourage them to minimize salt intake, as I said, sodium.
Wow.
Salt intake, you minimize ko. They eat lean and protein. So small lean and protein. Protein mo neka linga hamne moy dimbal bodybuilding bi. Lu melni yapa, lu melni jën. Way hanga yapa bi tam fat bi. It's not very, very good because one of the things high cholesterol ta muna lead to hypertension. So da nga gis ne comme suma waxe high cholesterol mo neka nit ki da nga am graisse yu nekk ci sa yaram bi. Graisse yooyu noonu baax na am na fu mu war a am waaye su ëppee rek daf la dee indi problème da ngaa gis ne dafa nekk si yoon bi comme li ñu wax ne artère loolu noonu tam mun na koo bloqué te ba léegi xam nga su bloqué pour xol bi pomper deret bi dafa nekk problème so loolu tam mun naa cause hypertension so da ngaa gis ne da ngaa lekk protéine protéine moom xam nga am na animal ak plant protéine suñ xob bi lu baax a baax la so suñ placage yooyu noonu yu baax a baax la then you cut off on alcohol.
waaw man lu ma dee dégg in most cases comme ñu am high blood pressure dañ dee wax ne suñ kër yi dangaa dégg ñu ne comme doo lekka xob yi nii wala ay mbaxal yi nii wala ay dawal yi nii dang dee dégg that a lot.
waaw waaye with hypertension moom foog nga lekka protein ak lean suñ ko waxee comme it comes from nuts yi lu baax la protein suñu waxee protein rek xam nga yàpp rek nekkul protein ñeebe protein la jën protein la loolu noonu yëpp it's very very good so foog ñu war a lekka loolu because foog nga am tamit balanced diet ñun suñ food bi is very carbohydrate dense su ma waxee carbohydrate comme maalo bi ñu dee lekka waaw waaye ruy bi sax it's good waaye soo gisee maalo bi the amount of maalo bu ñu dee lekka compared to jën be légume ñu bari sa légume bi duñ ko dee laal si mbalit bi la dee mujjee so a typical diet should be quarter of it nekk carbohydrate beneen bi nga replace ko with protein beneen bi nga replace ko with vegetables very very important so with someone with hypertension low salt diet potassium is very very good comme nu ma ko waxee ñun one of the sources of potassium Gambia is banana I think is very very abundant so it's very, very important ñu lekka banana ñu cut off tamit if you cannot limit your alcohol if you cannot stop the alcohol intake nga limit ko nga wàññi content bi tobacco moom you quit so those are the things
so lan mooy symptoms yi
comme nu ma ko waxee rek ma ne with hypertension it's asymptomatic usually du la woon mandarga yi waaye am na nit yoo xam ne even though su demee ba dangerously high sax du la woon mandarga yi waaye with certain people dañ dee mun a am headaches ñene dañ la dee wax ne maa ngi am headaches am na ñoo xam ne dañ dee am nose bleed epistaxis waaw miir am na ñoo xam ne dañ la dee wax ne tinnitus comme dañ dee am riir si seen noppa yi so these are some of the why it's not definitely so amee yooyu noonu rek hypertension usually it's asymptomatic
so yan initiatives the Ministry of Health nekka di rule out fu mu nekka ni to create awareness you know pour nit ñi mun a understand li because dafa bari boo xam ne da nga need rigorous advocacy a campaign boo xam ne nit ñi dinañ understand especially in rural Gambia
rural Gambia so xam nga ñun the way our healthcare system is is in line. It's a 3-tier system. It has the primary, the secondary, and the tertiary. So at community level, we have community health nurses. They're at strategic key villages. So they'll do community screening to make sure that at least they check people's, because come no away, hypertension, when you bury the undiagnosed part, when you open, you get them to am fever. So those are some of the strategies put in place. But at hospitals, when they go, at least because poor guy gender ticket is monthly. Pour save them, because then they visit hospital be a lot, so the gender ticket all the time they difficult at them, so they have clinic days yoo xam ne dañoo dem gis doctor bi mu mun leen recommendal seen garab yi ak yooyu noonu waaw. So ba pare xam nga May tamit it's May measurement month, so throughout ñu ngi said how best we can do community screening for at least people come by. You said how best to tailor it, at least maybe new QTV right in the swing table in the machine, you know, because Mas Ibrahim and he get na jail pressure yeah. Don't get busy do muna dem so hospital why at least so rombe and you check out blood pressure bi dina
occasion la amonde suma bena xarit mo ñewon ci office bi fi mu don test bo sa ko tesal
la ma gis nga so I'm not so enjoy if you julde yo something
no it's important
man I do that
so demale nga yobbuwale
waaw mo demale
okay thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
xam naa ne dinañ gën a def lii.
waaw sure inshallah
pour ñu jàngal askan bi. you know certain things dafa important pour nga xam ko. because wér gu yaram. soo demee ba ko lose rek once. it's a problem am na yoo xam ne soo ko manage daf laa indil ay jafe-jafe in the future.
Right.
So thank you. And viewers, we'll take a short break. After the break, then we head to the last segment of this program. We'll be back.
Thank you.
Browse with us. QCell brings you a promo like never before. Get unlimited internet for just $25. Yes! Recharge $25 and enjoy the convenience of free internet from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. every day with our Browse with Us promo. With this amazing offer, you can browse, stream, and download all your favorite movies for free. So why wait? Recharge $25 today and enjoy free internet only with QCell between 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. For more information, call customer care on 111. QCell, Senior Bus, we innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Service. Top teamwork for top performance.
Powered by Africa. Oris Energies.
Money imurundana ne koteke anila ni mobile app sone yaringo alanna yata ndu ise kuol bekeno ibeda woda wati ise munafanno ila kodola anin Money la ni mobile app kuto ise kodo dundino ye kodo fintinde ise credit ko sanno ye power sang ye fengol sang ndu fanan ise mol jono anin ku jamalu ise Money kino yela biloljo ndu fanan bantala banko se kodo kiyeno ise kodo fanan kino do kotenge kurke munafanyina a download sign Play Store anin App Store ni laftaka kusera ngosotoje Money customer care commandi 133 Money sunyu kalpe ntolle nga silo walang dole mol noma.
Thank you very much. We are back. You are watching QTV this morning. Now let's head to the last segment of this program. And we have Kairaba Conservation and Leadership Organization. You know, we are working, the chairman, Mr. Almami Funding Tal, in the studios with us. Almami, good morning. It's good to have you here.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be on this morning.
Exactly. So we'll be talking about the first National Tesito Forum. And it's very important when we show this, we deem it necessary to invite you so that you can take us through. Yes. Please, can you take us through what this forum is all about?
Well, this is the first National Tesito Forum organized by Kairaba Conservation. Kairaba Conservation was established in 2022 to honor the legacy and the memory of our first president, Sadauda Kairaba Jawara. And he was associated with two main things that were very visible during his leadership. That is the leadership for conservation, the Banjul Declaration of 1977, set up the blueprint, if you like, the vision statement, which was accompanied by the idea or the philosophy of Tesito, which is a Mandinka word, and it means self-reliance. To rely on yourself, to have the confidence that you can do things on your own. Because when Gambia became independent 60 years ago, people were doubtful whether we can survive as a nation. It was even called an improbable nation. So from that point of view, Sadauda and his team of leaders thought that why don't we do more self-reliance? Why don't we depend on our own values, on our own ideas, on our own knowledge to solve the problems of nationhood? But of course, since his passing, we have been trying to revitalize the legacy. He left a very rich legacy for the Gambia, and we think that when you have difficulties, it's always good to look at what your father or your mother did to get through those problems. So this is why we thought that it would be useful and fitting that in the Diamond Jubilee of our nationhood, we can organize a forum to reflect on what does self-reliance mean in the 21st century or in the first quarter of the 21st century. What are the things that we need to do to make sure that our country is more resilient, but more inclusive, more cohesive, so that the development of the country involves all of us. I mean, your last segment is talking about health. And, you know, there are initiatives at community level, at individual level. People now go to the gym regularly. People walk for health. There is one that is led by Mr. Sheriff Gomez. Maybe at some point you could talk to him. He has been doing this for the last 5-6 years, and people have seen remarkable improvement in their health. So it's really to try and bring up the idea of relying on yourself, living within your means, and having the values of conserving the little that you have. As much as possible, don't waste any resource that is within your control or within your reach.
So the notion of this Tesito Forum is to discuss how to solve local problems.
Yes, how to also inspire confidence in the coming generation to rely on themselves. But that reliance must be based on knowledge of how these things are done. Because when we were going to school some 40 years ago, the Gambia, everything was local, whether it's in the business sector, whether it's in the commercial banking sector, all of it was Gambian. Of course, times have changed, the world is globalized, but we have some fundamental values that we think if we can rely on them, it can make a big difference. Let's take, for example, the area of waste management. When you get to your house, at the household level, when you get, let's say, the things that you use for cooking, and maybe you get a can of mayonnaise or a tin of sardine. When you are ready with using them, the best thing you can do is to separate the waste at the source. So organic material could be on one side, and inorganic materials could be on the other side.
Segregate it.
To segregate it, that segregation alone is a way of making sure that the management of the waste becomes a useful thing, because they are even going around looking for scrap metal from these cans that you can press them and they become or melt them and they become aluminium. But these are things that are about mindset change. if you can get your children, the ladies who work in the house and help, you try to get them just on that look, when you are cleaning the yard, all the leaves that have fallen here,
yes,
instead of putting them in the dustbin, just put it on the soil. It will decompose naturally, and it would not even smell, and it would enrich the soil. So I'm just saying that these kind of conversations, we need to have them both in the academic setting, as well as the informal setting and at the domestic setting.
That's true.
So that the values of thrift, that is not wasting, and the values of conserving resources.
Right.
Exactly, yes.
So how are you going to go about inspiring change? Because I know that people have been talking about this like for the longest time. Even this morning, today, we started off with changing attitudes and, you know, taking a shift as far as the way we are doing things is concerned. But how are you going to go about this whole thing, and who are your targeted audience?
Yes, we are doing the forum, the first forum, in association with the University of the Gambia. The Vice Chancellor has been very, very enthusiastic and passionate about Sadauda Jawara's legacy. And he thinks that we can really use that as a linchpin to encourage, especially academic reflection on it, but also to see how the university community, the youth organizations, and rural community organizations and livelihood organizations can be involved in this mindset change. Because if we can effect that even for 1 or 2% of the coming generation, it becomes a part of their lives, you know, because that is what we need really.
So this forum, when is it taking place, and where exactly? I'm hoping it's a university?
Yes, it's at the University of the Gambia, the Law Faculty Auditorium.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where it's taking place on Saturday. It's a whole day affair, and we are able to confirm the participation of former Vice President Mrs. Fatoumata Jallow Tambajang, and former Vice President, Sadauda's Vice President, Mr. Bibi Dabo. They are all going to speak because they, during their time, active time in public service, they were familiar with this whole idea of Tesito. And those of us who came shortly after their time in office have been learning from records, from their own statements, and from their own lives example, what it means to embrace the Tesito philosophy.
So how can this forum influence government policies and planning?
We have also invited the NEA as our partner, Kairaba Conservation partner, to consider particularly how we can localize, for example, the SDG number 15, which talks about the terrestrial environment, what you can do there. Things like tree planting, things like keeping the environment clean, things like creating organic compost. These are all things that you can do at an individual level, and it would not cost you much. So these are some of the things we think with the university as a backdrop to this. A lot of people will start thinking new thoughts about the whole idea of Tesito in the hope that they would do more research, they would get their students to do more investigation, and to see how our climate change challenges have been dealt with in the past, because, you know, we have a history of droughts and irregular rains, and, you know, some of the wetlands are getting dried up, they are being built up. But we hear some very good news from the government that the Kotu stream is going to be regenerated and revitalized. These are all things that are part and parcel of that self-reliance, that self-confidence, that nothing goes to waste. You make sure that everything is thought through over a long period of time.
We know that community involvement is very key when it comes to conservation. How is this Tesito plan going to really involve those at the grassroots level also?
Yes. We have quite a few activities as the Kairaba Conservation. We have this idea that school children, as soon as possible, they should be encouraged to take an interest in how the environment grows. So we are planning with schools to establish what we call the Kairaba Conservation Clubs, so that they would be parallel to the school activity, so that some of the school excursions can lead to conservation initiative. We had a meeting with a school like Sibek, where my own son goes to, and they are very keen about this kind of activity. We hope that also the botanical garden, the only one in the country, which is in Bakau, we are trying to regenerate it and revitalize it, because these are things that you can do on your own. You can take a Saturday or a Sunday, you know, and go out with the children to these places and to communities and the women. They have these gardens. They can be become also nurseries for our tree what is it called? Tree planting exercise. And you know, in our interaction on this Tesito, we want to also highlight to everybody that we are losing a lot of our cultural values, because I keep asking people, wherever I meet them, whether you are a minister or you are a professor, the color green, this primary color green, what is it in Wolof? Do you know the color green in Wolof?
Color green?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I don't.
No, no.
I know in Fula.
Yeah,
we know in Fula, but not Wolof. I mean, we are Fulas.
Yes, and I know in Mandinka.
Yes, but I don't know in
But in Wolof, I am yet to meet someone who can tell me the color green. In Wolof.
Ah, Wolof is Werther.
That is French.
Oh.
Yeah, that's French.
That's French. I didn't even
maybe
know.
it's borrowed. Maybe it's a borrowed word.
No, but
maybe they don't have
but it's a primary color.
It
this
is.
has been with our people from
for a long time.
immemorial.
Yeah, that's
So you see what is lost in terms of our knowledge of even the environment.
Yeah.
So I'm sure maybe in Fula you can tell me 10 different trees that are growing native in the Gambia. But our children probably don't know. The same goes for the bird life. You know, we have a lot of birds.
Different birds.
Birds, you know. So we are also planning to come up with a compendium of the flora and fauna of the Gambia, so that in the education of our children, all these things are also incorporated. Because, you know, we speak our languages at home, but most of it is getting, if not corrupted, we are losing a lot of the words, and with them also we are losing some of the traditional knowledge. Because even when you come to the cuisine of the country, now everything is either fried or either the lady.
Exactly.
But things like this boom, the nebedai, you know, I'm sure Madam here probably would not know how to prepare.
I have a nebedai tree at home. It's wasting there. Look at it like this.
Yes.
Wasting.
Yeah. So all the knowledge that is contained there, you know, it is is for us to extract it and scientifically codify it, so that we can utilize it in our daily life. Because that is the challenge.
Right.
We go in and we get the diplomas, we get the doctorates, but something very basic and fundamental like that, like what are the active components of the baobab fruit, is considered a superfood, is considered to be very healthy. But, you know, we now, you know, when we prepare it, we put so many processed things into it. So these are all things that it would just require a little bit of sit back and you are able to explain to people like your last guest was doing, that all of these are connected to your health and well-being. And who is better able to take care of himself other than the person empowered with knowledge and understanding? Absolutely. So the forum really is meant to start that conversation. We are hoping that Gambians from all walks of life would be participating in it, and it would become an annual event, so that every time, because last Friday was Adauda's 101 birthday, and you know, it went quite unmarked, but we thought close to Africa Day, to have an African idea, you know, revisited, analyze, discuss critically, and to see what is the good in that idea that we can carry along. Because that's the whole thing about a heritage. If you inherit something and it has value, it's for you to valorize it, it's for you to put it on the table of brotherhood and ensure that Gambians and people all over the world can say, this is a Gambian approach to living with dignity, living on this planet as a person who can add value to things. I think Tesito as an idea, as an offshoot of conservation, is something that we need. It's a timeless value, and Gambians can really learn a lot from their own history.
I hope the outcome of the forum will definitely shape our development strategy, you know, as a country, because these things are very important. I mean, to maintain your own, I mean, it's not good, it's not bad rather to take from other people, but maintaining yours too is very significant.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And in terms of sustainability mechanism, what is in place currently to ensure that this very important initiative is, you know, maintained and it's sustained? We keep saying that. It's a big problem in this country.
It is. I cannot agree more. You know, that is why we decided to go the partnership route, because the university hopefully will outlive all of us, and once you institutionalize it, there would be interest, just purely from an academic point of view, of people who want to really look at indigenous knowledge, traditional knowledge, and these ideas. You know, books hopefully could be written about them, but more importantly, people will adopt it as a way of doing things. Sustainability is always a challenge, but you need to create the critical mass of engagement, like with the school children, like with the teachers' union, like with the credit unions. All of these are efforts of self-help and self-reliance. The confidence comes when, because you are doing it repeatedly, you are getting good and positive results, you would stick with it, because it is up to us. Because Sadara is no longer here to inspire us, but his ideas can live through us and to the coming generation. We hope that the university community and the private sector, because we are getting some support from private companies to enable us to really codify this, and from there go on to other things. We are hoping that with resources allowing, we can have conservation camps across the country where we can get our young people during their summer break to come and, you know, do something in nature. And they would learn, you know, how actually nature really works practically. And it would help their self-confidence, and it would increase their curiosity about the forces of nature, the laws of physics. They would see them, all of these things in action. So we have that vision to really engage, because I think in this 21st century with AI and all of that, you know, you have to build the pillars of knowledge that the children need to be able to even utilize AI, because AI relies on existing content. For us as Africans, our content is still very hidden. I mean, like I just said here, what is the color green? I've been asking this question for the last 3-4 years. Nobody has been able to answer me in Wolof.
Wolof.
You know, that this is the original name or this is the real name. You know, you can say it in Fula, I can say it in Mandinka and maybe other languages, but it just shows you how much is lost in not only in translation, but if we do not take care about the legacies that we inherit from our ancestors.
I know this is slightly different, but I want to believe it has to do with conservation. We've seen the impact of sand mining in this country.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what is your organization doing to create advocacy around that?
Generally, we want to take a holistic view about conservation generally, because we know that livelihoods depend on this use of natural resources. What we are advocating for is a responsible approach to it, but backed by knowledge, whether it's traditional knowledge or scientific knowledge that is already available. Because the earth, we are the inhabitants, apparently we are the most intelligent inhabitants of it. So we must be able to use the resources in a renewable fashion. We must be able to understand the rhythms so that we do not overexploit to the extent that either the resource become extinct or finished. All resources are finite. So the effort is that an integrated approach is necessary, and global frameworks are there to guide national action. So we are hoping that the Tesito Forum can come up with outputs that would be enabling localization, would ensure that all this knowledge is properly codified and is utilized. Sand mining is a major concern to the Gambia, so is other mining activities. But it's a question of how do we engage meaningfully with the information that we have and the kind of research that we do to valorize the information so that the resource can be exploited in a sustainable way.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tal. We've exhausted the whole
the
time.
Tesito Forum
Quickly.
is when?
On Saturday, 24th, at the University of the Gambia Law Faculty, from 9 a.m. to 5:30.
All right. Thank you very much, Almami from Tal, for coming on QTV this morning. And, you know, we hope QTV will be there to cover that forum.
We'll be very grateful.
Yes.
We'll be very grateful.
Thank you. Viewers, this is all we have for today. Until we come again, Julde.
Yes, tomorrow for another edition of QTV this morning.
Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.